Christmas morning arrived with a message that changed everything. Catherine, everyone's staying home due to the ice storm. Christmas dinner is cancelled. Stay safe, my mother's text read. I stared at my phone, disappointment settling deep in my chest. But I understood, Nashville winters could be unpredictable, and safety always came first. It wasn't the first time plans had been called off because of weather. So, with a resigned sigh, I accepted that I'd be spending the holiday alone. At 32, I was used to being the odd one out in my family. As an accountant, I had always been the quiet, career-focused sister, never quite fitting in with their loud social energy. My younger sister, Anna, was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong, the one who effortlessly drew people in. She was the center of every family gathering, while I often felt like an afterthought. That Christmas, I tried to make the best of it. I made myself hot chocolate, wrapped up in a blanket, and turned on some holiday movies, convincing myself that solitude wasn't so bad. The streets outside my apartment were dry and clear, strange, considering the so-called ice storm. But I didn't dwell on it. Until 3 p.m. I absent-mindedly scrolled through Instagram, sipping my cocoa, when a new post stopped me cold. A fresh update from my cousin captioned, "Perfect family Christmas at Anna's. So blessed to have everyone together. Family traditions. Christmas dinner." The photo that accompanied it made my heart pound. There they all were, my parents, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, even my grandmother, gathered around Anna's beautifully decorated dining table. They were smiling, laughing, dressed in festive sweaters, clinking their glasses in celebration. Plates were piled high with turkey and stuffing, my mother's signature Christmas cookies neatly arranged on the table. Through the windows in the background, I could see the unmistakable glow of clear, sunny skies. There had never been an ice storm. The realization hit like a punch to the gut. They had lied to me. They had deliberately excluded me from Christmas and fabricated an excuse to make sure I wouldn't show up. My hands trembled as I scrolled through more photos. There was my dad, carving the turkey. My mom, beaming as she passed around gifts. My nieces and nephews tearing into presents with joy. The warmth, the togetherness, it was everything Christmas was supposed to be. And I had been completely erased from it. How many other times had this happened? How many events had they cancelled over the years, only to carry on without me? How long had they been coordinating behind my back, deciding I wasn't welcome while pretending to care? A deep, sickening sense of betrayal settled in my stomach. The next morning, my phone rang. My mother's name flashed on the screen. "Hi, honey. Hope you had a nice, quiet Christmas. We missed you," she said, her voice light, casual, as if nothing had happened. I clenched my hands into fists, my breath catching in my throat. In that moment, something inside me shifted. I didn't know it yet, but this was the moment my life would change forever. My career as an accountant wasn't my dream, it was theirs. My parents had insisted it was the practical choice, the responsible path, the one that would ensure stability. Meanwhile, Anna was free to chase whatever fleeting passion she desired. When she dropped out of college to become a yoga instructor, my parents called her brave, a free spirit following her heart. But when I worked overtime, sacrificing my own time to help them pay off their mortgage, they barely acknowledged it. I should have realized the truth sooner. There had been so many signs, moments that, in hindsight, made everything clear. 3 years ago, when my father needed surgery, I took 3 weeks off work to care for him. I cooked, cleaned, drove him to his appointments, managed his medications, anything to make his recovery easier. Anna showed up once. She stayed for an hour, snapping selfies with him for social media, captioning them with words like #FamilyFirst and #grateful, before breezing out the door, claiming she had an important yoga retreat. Yet somehow, in my parents' retelling of that time, Anna was the devoted daughter who had been his biggest support, while I was simply doing the bare minimum. It wasn't just them, my extended family was no better. At every gathering, my aunts gushed over Anna's adventurous spirit, calling her an inspiration, while they looked at me with pity, asking when I was going to loosen up and learn to enjoy life. My professional achievements were brushed aside as dull and unimportant, while Anna's latest venture, teaching yoga in Bali, going on a silent retreat in India, opening a new studio, was celebrated like she had cured cancer. Still, I told myself it didn't matter. Family was family. They loved me in their own way, didn't they? Even last Thanksgiving, I had spent hours in the kitchen with my mother, preparing food, setting the table, making sure everything was perfect. Later that night, as my family sat around the table laughing and drinking, I overheard my mother proudly telling everyone that Anna had done all the work, while I had just sat around. I swallowed the lump in my throat and said nothing, the way I always did. So when Anna announced she would be hosting Christmas this year, I offered to help. I wanted to be involved, to feel like part of the family. But she brushed me off with a polite, dismissive smile. "I've got it handled," she said. "I want everything to be perfect." I should have seen the signs then. But I was still trying so hard to believe in the fiction of our happy family. The truth was, I had spent my entire life chasing their approval. I had made excuses for their behavior, ignored the way they treated me as an afterthought, convinced myself that if I just worked harder, gave more, made myself useful, they would finally see me. That one day, I would be enough. But the Christmas photos told a different story. I stared at the glowing screen, my family's laughter frozen in time, captured in pictures I hadn't been meant to see. The warmth in their smiles, the twinkle of lights, the carefully arranged holiday feast. It was a scene straight out of a Christmas movie. A movie I had never even been invited to. And now, the next morning, my phone rang. My mother's voice came through the speaker, bright and cheerful, as if nothing had happened. "Hi, honey. Hope you had a nice, quiet Christmas. We missed you." I tightened my grip on the phone, bile rising in my throat. My laptop screen was still open in front of me, the evidence staring back at me, the perfect family gathering, everyone there, everyone except me. "Really?" My voice came out steady, colder than I expected. Because Nina's social media posts show that everyone had a wonderful time at Anna's house. Everyone except me. Silence. For the first time in my life, my mother had nothing to say. I could almost see her expression, the familiar look she always wore when she had been caught in a lie but was already scrambling for a way out. "Oh well," she stammered. "Anna put it together last minute, and, you know how you are at gatherings. Always so quiet, making everyone uncomfortable. We just thought." I closed my eyes. "Thought what?" I pressed. "That it would be better to lie to me? To let me spend Christmas alone while pretending that everyone else was too." She sighed, a long tired sound, as if I was the one being unreasonable. "Don't be so dramatic. We were just trying to avoid any awkwardness. You know how Anna wanted everything to be perfect." And just like that, the final piece fell into place. All the cancelled events. The plans that had mysteriously fallen through. The family photos I would stumble upon later, proving that they had all gathered without me. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was a pattern. My voice was barely a whisper when I asked, "How many times?" My mother didn't answer. But she didn't need to. I already knew. The silence on the other end of the line stretched between us, thick and telling. Then my mother sighed, her voice turning exasperated. "Catherine, you're being oversensitive. This is exactly why." "Why what?" I cut her off sharply. "Why you exclude me. Why you pretend I don't exist unless you need something. Why Anna gets to be the perfect daughter while I'm treated like an inconvenience." "That's not fair," she protested. "We love you both equally. It's just that Anna puts in the effort to be part of the family. You're always so busy with work." I let out a bitter laugh. "Busy with work? You mean busy helping pay off your mortgage? Busy taking care of Dad after his surgery? That kind of busy." Her tone turned cold, clipped with finality. "Listen, if you're going to be like this, maybe it's better if we give each other some space. Call me when you're ready to be reasonable." And then the line went dead. I sat there, staring at my phone, as 32 years of memories suddenly sharpened into painful clarity. Every excuse, every dismissal, every misunderstanding, it had all been intentional. I wasn't the problem. I never had been. That was the moment I stopped making excuses for them. The moment I finally saw the truth. I didn't have a family. I had people who shared my DNA but treated me like an afterthought. Something inside me snapped. I was done being the family doormat. My laptop screen glowed in the dim light of my apartment as I opened my email. My fingers moved with purpose, years of pent-up anger and betrayal pouring out in black and white. "I've seen the photos from Christmas dinner," I wrote. "The dinner I was told was cancelled due to an imaginary ice storm. I want you all to know exactly what you've done. You didn't just exclude me from a family gathering, you coordinated an elaborate lie to make me spend Christmas alone." I attached screenshots of my mother's text messages. "Stay home, everyone's doing the same," right next to the Instagram posts of them laughing around Anna's table, wine glasses raised in a toast. Then I hit send. The responses came quickly. Aunt Marie claimed they had forgotten to tell me the plans had changed. Uncle Robert suggested I was overreacting. My cousin Nina, the one whose social media posts had exposed their lie, deleted all the Christmas photos in a panic and sent me a message accusing me of causing unnecessary drama. Then came Anna's response, a long condescending email about how I never made an effort at family events and how she had only wanted one perfect holiday. She even had the audacity to suggest that excluding me had been for my own good. But it was my parents' reaction that truly revealed who they were. Instead of apologizing, they went on the offensive. My mother started calling mutual family friends, spinning a story about how I was having some sort of breakdown. My father sent me a stern email about respecting family privacy and how airing our dirty laundry was unacceptable. Then came the text from Anna. "You've really done it now. Mom's crying. Everyone's upset. And it's all because you couldn't just accept that maybe you're the problem. This is exactly why we didn't want you at Christmas." I stared at my phone, my breath steady, my mind strangely calm. They had lied to me, excluded me, manipulated me. And now, because I refused to pretend it hadn't happened, I was the villain. The more I stood up for myself, the more they twisted the narrative. When I refused to back down, they escalated. My mother began showing up at my workplace unannounced, causing scenes in the lobby. Anna posted vague social media updates about toxic people and choosing peace over family. My father threatened to cut me out of his will if I didn't get in line. But instead of intimidating me, their actions only confirmed what I had already realized. This wasn't a loving family trying to protect itself from a difficult member. This was a toxic system desperately trying to maintain control over someone who had finally stopped playing by their rules. And I was done playing. A week after my email, I received an unexpected message from Rachel, an old family friend who had managed my parents' finances years ago. "Catherine, I've been seeing what's happening with your family on social media. There's something you need to know. Can we meet?" We met at a quiet cafe downtown. Rachel looked nervous as she clutched a manila envelope in her hands. "I've been carrying the guilt of this for years," she said, sliding the envelope across the table. "Your father swore me to secrecy. But after seeing how they're treating you now, I can't stay quiet anymore." Inside were bank statements and legal documents dating back 15 years. As I read through them, my hands began to shake. According to these records, my grandfather had left a significant inheritance specifically for my education and future, nearly $300,000. Money I had never known about. "Your father was the trustee," Rachel explained quietly. "He was supposed to give you access when you turned 25. Instead, he transferred everything to Anna's accounts, using it to fund her lifestyle and her failed business ventures." A numb, icy calm settled over me. All those years I had worked overtime to pay for my accounting degree. The student loans I was still paying off. The times I had helped them with their mortgage. They had been sitting on my inheritance the whole time, spending it on Anna. "There's more," Rachel continued. "Your grandfather also left properties that were meant to be split equally between you and Anna. Your parents sold them all, using a power of attorney they had you sign when you were 18. I felt sick. I remembered that moment, how they had reassured me it was just in case of emergency medical decisions. I had signed without hesitation, trusting them. That document had given them complete control over my financial interests. They had systematically robbed me. And the worst part? They had taken my money, funded Anna's dreams, and still made me feel guilty for not contributing enough to the family. "Why tell me now?" I asked Rachel, my voice barely steady. "Because I saw your mother's social media posts," she said. "They're trying to discredit you before you can discover the truth. Catherine, what they've done isn't just morally wrong, it's illegal." Everything suddenly made horrible sense. Their desperate attempts to paint me as unstable. The threats to cut me out of the will, when they had already stolen everything. Their relentless need to maintain the illusion that Anna was the golden child while I was the difficult one. I carefully packed the documents back into the envelope. My mind was already racing ahead. "Thank you, Rachel," I said, standing. "I know exactly what I need to do. This wasn't just about a ruined Christmas anymore. This was about years of calculated deception and theft. And I, an accountant with years of experience in financial fraud, was uniquely qualified to make them pay."